Bob stood up, his heart pounding adrenaline. This time, it was real. He quickly grabbed an Uzi and a shotgun. He put on a bandolier of shotgun shells, taking a second to think about how sexy he must have looked, and how any woman who saw him in his bandolier would probably fall in love with him instantly. He imagined himself standing on top of a giant pile of dead zombies, with a harem of women groveling at his feet. The perfect zombie movie poster. Then Bob began loading shells into the shotgun. He felt like Rambo. Bob didn't have time for anything else and kicked open his own front door with his $2 flip case. He made his way to the front door of his complex, checking every window as he walked by. Outside Bob's apartment complex, it was quiet. Too quiet. So quiet that it confirmed to Bob that this was the zombie apocalypse. At the bottom of the stairs, he saw something move out of the corner of his eye. Because Bob made such a rash decision, he didn't care. Without hesitation, he turned at the movement and fired his shotgun once. Something moved and slid into the apartment shadows with a groan. Still without knowing what it was, Bob fired as many times as he could into the shadows. The silence in the shadows groaned again. Bob looked into the shadow and saw his neighbor's son, Billy. Billy grabbed at the hole in his stomach and tried to hold a few different colored organs in that were trying to escape his body. Whoops, was Bob's first thought. A few are probably going to have to die in collateral damage if I'm going to save the world, was his dumbass second justifying thought. Then Billy's mom turned the corner and was probably about to notice her dead son or ask why Bob was holding a shotgun in broad daylight. But Bob's shotgun interrupted her, unleashing its fury at her head. Her face instantly became her former face as it was ripped from her skull. For a second, her face spun through the air like a frisbee. Then it splattered against the wall like a flying pancake with blood for syrup. She reached up and grasped at her faceless head. For a second, it looked like she was wearing a very realistic skull face mask. Her eyelidless eyes darted back and forth. Then blood poured from her nose hole and she fell face first into the sidewalk. Bob turned and began running towards Hollywood and Highland. Well, Bob really couldn't run. It was more like a quick waddle. He only lived a few blocks away. But Bob took the long way, around Hollywood High School. Maybe to avoid being detected, but probably because he wanted in and out. Bob continued to waddle towards where he thought the zombies were, when he saw a cop at the intersection of Hollywood and Highland. Bob knew the cop would welcome a well-prepared zombie hunter like himself, and approached with ease. When the cop heard Bob, he turned nonchalantly at first, but then after noticing Bob's shotgun, the cop quickly attempted to draw his weapon. Bob's shotgun roared again and launched the shells roughly 400 hot pellets into the air between him and the cop. In bullet-time slow motion, the hundreds of pellets raced through the air at their target. The swarm of pellets hit the cop's head and neck. Some pushed through the cop's face, skull, and brain. Some lucky pellets went in his hairy nose hole and all the way through his head and only stopped after being lodged into the back of his skull. The cop's body dropped dead at the intersection of Hollywood and Highland. After killing the cop, Bob looked around. There were no zombies. There was no apocalypse. But killing a cop at the intersection of Hollywood and Highland on a Saturday afternoon will cause a bit of a panic. Instantly, thousands of people began screaming and panicking. People flooded into the streets. Bob waddled into the intersection, turning his shotgun on a crowd of people that possibly resembled zombies. His irrational, stupid decision was in full swing. Bob unloaded, his shotgun roaring 6 more times in rapid succession. Each shot ripped into the herd of running people, tearing out chunks of flesh. An Oscar souvenir that said, "World's Best Grandpa." An H&M bag exploded. A tourist in a zebra shirt fell like a hunted zebra. A child's head exploded, and his packet of nerds fell and spilled into the street. An old lady driving a Monte Carlo saw Bob shooting everyone and thought it might be a farmer's market. So she hit the gas. She peeled out towards Bob. Bob turned and fired his shotgun as fast as he could pull the trigger, aiming for the old lady's head. But his gun fired once. He had forgot to reload. What a dumbass. He looked down, not knowing what was wrong. His careless decision-making had flushed his years of planning down the toilet. The quickly accelerating old lady hit Bob. His body unwillingly slipped under the Monte Carlo, twisting and crunching until dropping out lifelessly behind the car. The old lady sped across the street and crashed into a parked Humvee. The old lady killed Bob and saved many people that day. This time, Bob died.